he laughed loud in any setting. He was a happy drunk. Come on, will somebody give a guy a break? He was speaking to an empty room. At the time, Daddy was dating the prettiest Chinese woman I ever saw. It was as if she walked straight out of a magazine and into our life. Her name was Stephanie Lee, and she entered the lounge and walked up to the bar, taking the stool to his right. She had come to take us home. She turned and found me in the back of the corner and waved. When she swung back around to Daddy, she said, "Hey, aren't you a writer?" Daddy responded somberly, "Used to be." She faced him and asked, "What do you mean, used to be? I thought once a writer, always a writer." He frowned. "Well, you thought wrong." He pulled a peanut out of a bowl and handed it to her. "You see, if you aren't writing, you aren't a writer." Daddy's philosophy was it mattered not how good you were, but rather how active you were. She put the peanut in his mouth and said, "Well then, why don't we go home and you can start being a writer again."
What's the most interesting thing you've learned as a writer?
Writing is a process that you are learning every day of your life. You may think you have control of it, but oftentimes you don't. It's also a craft in which it's very easy to forget all the lessons you've learned. It's something you have to do every day.
Finish this sentence. The book that made you want to become an author was?
Main Street by Sinclair Lewis.
What advice do you give writers who hear you speak?
To be around other writers. Be around good writers. Listen to what they say. Study the craft. Write every day. I'm a firm believer that you should write 1,000 words a day, and for the last 35 years, I have written 1,000 words a day without fail. Now, sometimes I write upwards of 10 to 15,000 words a day, but every day I commit myself to 1,000 words a day.
What's your new project that you're working on? Anything you can share?
Yeah, the current project I'm working on is about 6 brothers and their 6 wives. It starts on the day of the funeral of the oldest wife's death. It's a story about lost love when the high school girlfriend of the 69-year-old husband shows up at the funeral to tell the deceased woman, "I've waited 50 years, I'm come back to get my man."
Beginning, middle, or end? What's the easiest for you? What's the most difficult?
The second act. Second act is always the hardest. The first act is the idea that you have, and you start it out, and you develop the characters. And the third act pretty much carries itself because you've gone through the tribulation, through the fire. You've gotten the character out of the tree, so to speak. Proverbially, you get your character up a tree and you throw rocks at him until he gets down. When he's in that tree and his solutions for getting down out of that tree, the second act, which are always the most difficult. Now, acts are not equally paired. The first act and the third act are usually pretty short. They can be as long as a quarter of the story, but the middle act is usually either half to more of the book. And it's that second act where most writers put down the story and say, I don't know what to do. The middle is by far the hardest.
What's the nicest thing anybody ever said about your book?
Well written. Telling a story that's a crapshoot. It may be a good story, it may be a bad story, but being well written is not a crapshoot. Being well written is a lot of work. It's a lot of editing. It's understanding English. It's understanding all of the different constructions of English. And if you understand those, that's what I'm most proud of, is that I've done my homework to understand how to write well.
Where can listeners find out more about you, your stories, and your books on the Internet?
I am published through a company called JCall Publishing, JACOL Publishing, a small publisher who does books for contemporary drama. I think they do have one romance novel. It can be found through JCall. You can also find me on Randall J. Andrews, my author page, which is on Facebook. You can also find a page I run on Facebook called Writer's World. Good luck, there's probably several of them. You can find me on JCall on Facebook, because I believe they have a Facebook page as well.
Randall Andrews, thank you so much for being with me today on the Eat, Sleep, Write podcast. I know my listeners will enjoy your work and your interview.
Thank you very much.
If you're looking for a community of like-minded individuals who can offer support, tools, and advice about how you can start your own adventures in writing, be prepared to have the cauldron of your imagination stirred. I started Eat Sleep Write for one purpose: to do everything I can to get your voice heard about your writing, as well as get more eyes on your books. My goal is to help you achieve the success that you so richly deserve.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the Eat Sleep Write podcast, located at eatsleepwrite.net. Please send any questions, comments or suggestions to comments@eatsleepwrite.net. Please consider a donation to support the Eat Sleep Write podcast. Donations can be sent to our PayPal address at donations@eatsleepwrite.net. Once in a lifetime, the theme music for the Eat Sleep Write podcast, courtesy of Stephen Paul. All rights reserved, used by permission. Please join us again for the next edition of the Eat Sleep Write podcast.